you got to realize that whatever you're doing, you're competing with somebody. What is it that gives you an advantage over your competition? Whatever you're good at, try to be great at it. And if you're great at it, good things will happen.
Maverick Podcast.
I'm far from average. That's why I had to come sit down and chop it up with DJ Maverick. They know my name from coast to coast and even in Dallas. I use my talent when I'm faced with a challenge. Gratitude strength is my magnet. Close your eyes and imagine. If you can see it in your mind, then you can have it.
Maverick Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. This is the Maverick Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Maverick. Today, we have a super talented entrepreneur, marketing expert, and also community leader, one and only Mario Avila. Welcome to the podcast.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
Absolutely. Before we dive into everything, for the 1% of the people out there that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Grew up in LA, stayed there for a while, and then moved back to Oklahoma to go to OU.
Yeah.
And ended up just staying here, after that. So
let's dive into that,
Yeah.
because growing up in LA and then you come to Oklahoma for
Right.
film school.
Right.
What's up with that?
Yeah, most people go to LA, and I actually lived right on the UCLA campus.
No way.
So, all my
Okay.
friends were in the business. My best friend's dad was a director, so we would go to premieres all the time to the point where we got sick of it.
What in the world were you thinking? You're
Yeah.
like, hey, this isn't good enough. LA,
Yeah.
Hollywood. No,
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma's where it's at.
So basically, it boiled down to money, man. So I could have gotten in, but then the cost to go to UCLA or USC versus OU was way different.
Yeah.
I had a lot of family here in Oklahoma, so I was
Okay.
able to claim in-state tuition, which was a lot cheaper.
That's
So
awesome.
ended up going to film school at OU instead of UCLA or USC.
Very cool. But even growing up, you always knew that you wanted to do film, or just kind of being around it all the time?
Yeah, being around it, when you grow up in it, it's different because it just seems normal.
Yeah.
Going to movie premieres, being on movie sets, it just seemed like a normal thing to do. So, at one point, I made some short films at OU. They won some awards.
Nice.
I got signed to make a major movie. I was in the DGA, the Directors Guild, for a while. So,
Really? Okay.
yeah, but to me, again, it all seemed normal at the time. Looking back now, I realize how unnormal it was. But
Yeah.
at the time, it seemed like this is just the way things were supposed to happen.
Yeah. I think now, absolutely, with YouTube University, that people call it, right? A lot of people say, hey, if you want to do something creative like filmmaking or whatever, you can just start, right? What are your thoughts on that? Because a lot of people are like, why go the traditional route? You
Yeah.
decided to go the traditional route,
I
right?
think it's a lot easier now because you can focus on the storytelling. It's not who has the best equipment is going to be the winner. And back in the
Right.
day, we were shooting on film, on 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter film. So it was really expensive. We had to go out and get sponsors, for funding. We had to get investors. Nowadays, you don't have to worry about the equipment. It's who can tell the best story, who's the
Right.
best writer, that, and then the effects are so much cheaper now, with AI and everything. So
Yeah.
you can produce something that looks Hollywood that cost a fraction of what it used to cost back in the day.
Absolutely. So back in the day, a traditional movie, what's kind of the budget that you sort of had to raise that, certain amount for?
Back in the day, even a low budget movie was $2 million to $5 million was,
Jeez. Okay.
as far as DGA standards, that was considered low budget, so.
Okay.
When we were doing our production schedules with actors, we would, literally have them in for 3 days of shooting, and that was it because that's all we could afford. So trying to shoot everything in 30 days because you're shooting on film, and it's just a lot more expensive.
And hoping that you get the takes that you need, because then
Right.
having to come back to take retakes and all
Right.
that, that's all money too, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So in LA, you never produced a film or anything until you got to Oklahoma. Then you
Right.
Did your
I
first
did
film?
all my projects in Oklahoma. I'm music is my passion as well.
Okay.
For someone that can't sing or play an instrument, I love music
That's
more
me
than
too.
anybody.
That's how I became a DJ. On my bucket
Right.
list, it's always been to learn to play the piano.
Yeah.
Never could do it.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a DJ.
I can't sing a lick, can't
Yeah.
play anything,
Same.
but I love music. I have an ear for it. So when I hear it, I know what's good, right? So, but I started out doing a lot of music videos. There's a local guy named Nitro. He's a friend of mine for 20 plus years, did his music videos. So that was kind of my world for a while, working with record labels, doing EPKs, shooting a bunch of stuff. So, and then it just kind of transitioned from there, from doing all this video and marketing. Actually got into real estate because I would do videos for real estate and pictures and stuff. And then eventually Started working for a home builder, got into real estate, owned my own brokerage for a while. And then we ended up selling our real estate company, and I had a non-compete. So they basically said, you can do everything you want to do. You just can't do it in real estate. So I took all my skills from video, marketing, everything I was doing, digital, and just transformed that and pivoted over to small businesses. So everything I was doing to sell houses, I started doing that to promote other people's businesses, and it just kind of took off from there.
Okay, let's rewind a little bit, because I think that's a big 180, right? You were doing all this creative music video, films, and then you go into real estate. Yeah. Right? That's like 180. Like, what made you decide to do that?
Honestly, I was working for ABC at the time. I don't know if you remember that TV show, Extreme Home Makeover.
Oh, yeah.
So I was working for ABC at the time, and I was one of the producers. So we would go up, and after they would pick the families, I would go to Ty Pennington, move that bus, the whole thing, right? So the home builder that was building the house for that show approached me and said, hey, I like your vibe, whatever, come work for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know anything about real estate. This is my wheelhouse. This is all I've ever done. So he asked me, how much are you making? And I told him, he goes, okay, I'll tell you what, make the leap, come over to me. I'll guarantee you that you make at least that much, your first year in real estate. Whatever you don't make, I'll cover the difference. But he knew what I was doing, because I made like double what I was making in TV. So that's why I left TV and got into real estate.
Got it.
I was forced into it.
Yeah. Were you sort of miserable though? Because oftentimes I hear people have this creative, sort of like background. They get into the more serious corporate world, and they're like, they hate it, right?
No, I loved it, man. And I still, I still do real estate investments, and some other stuff I do now is all real estate related. So for me, it kind of set the tone for where I'm at now. I kind of look at myself as like a connector, right? I don't do anything I do because of the money. I'm the guy that literally people will call and say, hey, Mario, we need fill in the blank. You know what I mean? Right. If it's, we need someone that can do tile. We need to close this real estate deal. I need an investment banker. I need whatever. I've got kind of a good network over the years. So I'm the guy they call, and I just call myself the connector, right?
That's awesome.
I just like putting people together. I'm a huge fan of like group text. I'll be like, hey, Luis, meet so-and-so meet Luis. You guys need to connect and grab coffee, whatever. But there's nothing really in it for me other than, being the connector. But that's led to things over the years as far as, just I'm a big believer in karma. You do the right thing, put it out there, it'll come back to you.
Right. I'm sure you probably know Gary Vee, right? He always talks about like jab, jab, right hook, right? Yep. That's like it right there, right? Always provide value to that one time, and then you can ask for it because you provided all this value.
Exactly. Right? And I'm big in sales with the businesses I have. So to me, people know when they're being sold versus when you're genuinely trying to help them, right? And in today's world, they can do a lot of stuff. They can go to YouTube, Google, figure out how to do a lot of stuff themselves. So why would they choose you for whatever they need? It's got to be more than just, oh, you're the cheapest, you're this and that. I bring value that most people don't bring.
Right. What are your thoughts? So recently, the big buzz in real estate, they're getting rid of the 6%, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
What are your thoughts about that?
I saw that. So I think home prices are going to start coming down because they were, in my opinion, inflated a little bit because of the commission rates that we're having to pay. Yeah, but you have, like anything else, you have some agents that are worth their value and some agents that are not. You had a lot of agents that their selling point was their price, right? Hey, I'll list your house for this much instead of this much, and I'll kind of cut my commission. Whenever I was in real estate, I would say, my job as an agent is to get you the best value and the most money for your house. So if that person is already discounting what their value is, what do you think is going to happen when it comes time to them negotiating on your behalf? Do you think they're going to stand up for you, or they're going to cut your rate as well? I said, my job is to get you the most money for your home, but you're going to pay for that value. So in today's world, you're going to have people that are still going to charge the same amount, but they're going to prove that they're worth that amount. You're going to have a lot more people that are going to be, have a hard time justifying that commission. So they're going to have to charge less.
Yeah, 1000%. I agree with that, because I think I've seen both sides of the spectrum. You see an agent that's almost just like a project manager. They're just like, hey, come sign this document. We got to do this thing. They're not really providing a value. Like, you could probably do it on a website, right? But then there's other people that actually find you the good listings. They give you the comps. So like they're hustling, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I do a lot of traveling around the country. I do speaking at different conferences and stuff. And one of my main categories is real estate. So they have me come in, speak to a group of agents and say, these are the trends on digital marketing, social media. These are the algorithm trends. So I try to stay afloat on all of that stuff so I can, travel and train. And I still love real estate. I just don't have my license anymore. I'm doing other stuff now.
I'm still surprised to this day how many horrible pictures there are of listings. Like, what is up with that? Like, they just take it with like an old school phone. Like, that should be like, easy, like take some decent pictures.
And that was the running joke was like, people used to tease agents about, it was like a glamour shot from the 80s, right? And you see them in person and it was like, you got catfish by your real estate agent, right? Like, wait a second, but now even going back to AI, man, a lot of people are doing these AI headshots now. And I think it's good, it can update it, look professional, but that's the key. Like if that's your calling card, right? If you say, hey, this is what I'm presenting myself as,
right,
that shows how you're going to present them also, you know what I mean? Not just in real estate, but any business, you know, it's about first impressions, right?
Yeah. So from the beginning, you've always been an entrepreneur. Did you have a traditional job along the way, or it's always just been you?
I've been in the corporate world. What really happened was I worked for a major company, big corporation, and they started going through layoffs. And I think I made it through like 8 rounds of layoffs where they finally, every day you're seeing friends that and worked with for a long time get tapped on the shoulder, hey, and then you see them walk out with boxes. And after that happened, I made it through 8 rounds, got laid off, right? And then I said, I just don't want to be in that position again where no matter how hard I work, it's not up to me, right? So, and then I also felt I made good money, but it was a salary, right? So I always felt like I was leaving money on the table. Like, again, I could bust my ass and do as good a job as anybody, but no matter how hard I worked, I only made a certain amount of money versus if I do something on my own, I kind of get what my value is, I get what I earn myself. So.
Yeah. And was it scary to make that jump, or did you have sort of a high side hustle and then you made it official?
No, man. They call it burning the boats. I made it to shore, burned the boat, didn't turn back, and there was no plan B, right? So it was like sink or swim. So for me, that's I know a lot of people like to do a side hustle and kind of grow that, but at some point, a friend of mine said you don't get a little bit pregnant. You know what I mean? You're either pregnant or you're not. You either do it or you don't.
Yeah.
So I just took the leap. And it is scary at first, but once you start making what your value is, what you earn for yourself, it's hard to go back. I tell people now, I've been, entrepreneur now for so many years. I don't even think I could sit through a job interview where, they're like, you got to be here this time, you get 1 hour break. And I'm just like, wait, what?
And then you have to wait for somebody to approve your PTO.
All of that.
Right? Like everything.
All of that. Right. Yeah. So I get teased because I like to travel, and that's one thing you can't do if you work for a corporation mostly. But so like I get teased because I do most of my work while I'm traveling. So like I do a lot of Zoom calls. So like where most people have like the fake palm trees in the background,
the real deal?
I'll do a Zoom call, ocean, palm tree behind me, and
I'm on the beach
and I'm making deals. You know what I mean? But they like it because they know that I've taken the time out of my day where I could be sitting on the beach talking to them, and they see that, and I think they almost like it better. Like they feel a little more special because I took some time out to spend with them. So, so I always get teased that I get more business done while I'm traveling than when I'm here.
That's cool. So, we're talking, you're doing a lot of things. Have you sort of boiled it down to like certain verticals that you're like focused on, or is it like, you like doing a mix of things?
I wish I could say that. My fiance probably wishes I could say that. But what happens is the bigger the network you get and the more of a connector you are, it's just opportunities. So literally on a weekly basis, I get called with an opportunity of like, hey, Mario, we want to do this project. We'd love for you to be a part of it. I've learned to say no a lot more than I say yes, but if it's a really good opportunity, if it's not going to take all of my time and I can lend a hand, but more so I look at, is it going to benefit the community, right? Is it going to raise the level of what's there right now? Can it benefit other people in the community? If the answer is yes, then it's hard for me to say no to at least try to get something off the ground and help it out.
So you're the guy that all the friends call you up and pitch you, hey, I got this business idea. They always run it by you, or what?
Yeah, they call me for that. They don't necessarily call me just for investing money all the time, which is cool, but yeah, they're like, hey, Mario, who do you know that does this? Or we're
Yeah.
looking for a partner that does this. You know, this would be our ideal partner. Who do you know? And I'm all about that text message, you know, hey, you guys get together. And most of the time it works out, you know, because I've got a big enough network. I can even filter through, like, not only will I direct them to just anybody, whoever I think is a good fit for that person, you know? So I try to do that every time, but it seems to work out so far.
That's cool. So what I'm hearing from you is network. So people are oftentimes like, hey, I hate people. You know, I'm an introvert. I'm not good at networking. But,
Yeah.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right?
That's it, man.
Yeah.
So I have two kids. They're older. I'm an empty nester now. So like my son, he works for Coinbase out in California.
No way. Okay.
He's making good coin working for Coinbase,
They just
cryptocurrency.
They
Yeah.
just IPO'd like not too long ago.
Yeah. So, but I told him the same thing when he was at OU. I was like, man, right now you just need to meet as many people as you can.
Yeah.
But he was networking not just at OU, but outside through Twitter, through all this stuff. And he was actually, because of networking, he was able to do an internship at Facebook.
Okay.
And he was the first kid out of a regular school at OU to get that internship, where mostly it had been like Harvard,
Yeah,
you know, all
Stanford,
these,
yeah.
And here he is. I always say it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the
awesome.
dog, right? So,
Yeah.
but that all came from networking. So
Okay.
he saw firsthand early on,
Yeah.
just network, meet as many people as you can, because you never know in this world. Down the road, everybody helps each other. It's a community.
Yeah.
you know?
So what are some of the tips that you would give somebody if they want to start to build that network? Do they go online, you know, more modern approach? Or do they
It
go
depends on the
traditional?
industry that you're in, you know, and if you're wanting to do real estate or film, or there's a lot of things, just volunteer, you know, just offer to help out, be on a volunteer committee.
Okay.
I know you did some podcast the other day with Rogelio for the Oklahoma Cine Festival.
Going down this weekend.
Exactly. Yeah. Support that 100%. But that's an example. If someone wanted to volunteer for that festival,
Okay.
they could get to know people, get to know, you know, the filmmakers that are coming into town, the people that organize it, the Lance McDaniels of the world. So
Right.
it's just little things like that. Just offer the time. It doesn't cost you anything to network, but it pays off down the road for sure.
Awesome. That's cool. So I also understand you opened up an event center, right?
Yeah, so that's you know, we have a big event coming up, and what happened was we had been bringing some people in from all over the country. They would either salsa, bachata people. They would come in, they would teach all day, and then we would do a big social at night. You know, have a
Okay.
big party, right? So, but we wanted to do something bigger than just bringing one couple in. So we're doing what's called the Baila OKC Festival. It's the first time we've had this many professional world champions all coming to Oklahoma City. Normally you have to fly to LA, New York to be able to attend a festival this size.
Got it.
So we've got world champion salsa instructors, bachata instructors, and then we've got a concert by bachata sensation Danny J. He's flying in from Spain to do a live concert. But what happened was we started looking for venues, and you know, the cost was just astronomical.
Yeah.
You know, we're like, we need a big venue. We need to rent it all weekend long for this big festival. Then we started thinking, you know, rather than pay this much money to rent a venue for one weekend, we could take that same money, invest it into our own spot, remodel it, do what we want.
That's
make
the
it
real
like we
estate
want.
investors.
Yeah,
talking,
yeah.
right?
So we did that. So we opened up the Chisholm Creek Event Center. It's over by Top Golf, over
Okay.
by Costco. You know, right in that
That's a
same.
great location.
Yeah, there's nothing else out there like that. So we opened it just for our festival that's coming up at the end of March. But you know, obviously, when the festival is not happening, we teach dance classes. We teach salsa, bachata. We have hip hop classes. But in addition to dance, you know, we have a church that rents it. So it's just a regular event center that people can use it for birthday parties, quinceañeras, whatever they want. But it all started with us needing a venue, and we just decided to open our own instead of paying somebody else.
How'd you get into dancing? Out of all
Yeah.
things, right? Dancing is on the list. too,
Yeah,
right?
so there's two things actually. So now I'm able to talk. I used to choke up when I told this story, but
Oh, yeah.
now I've told it enough
Oh man,
times.
do we
I
need to
can
pour some more tequila to be able to talk about
Salud.
this?
Yeah, I'll take a shot. That's good tequila, by the way. So what happened was COVID. So I found out I was diabetic a couple years ago before COVID,
Okay.
and no big deal. But then COVID hit, and I got really sick. So I got COVID because I'm diabetic. It hit me harder than most people. So I also got pneumonia.
Oh man.
So I had COVID and pneumonia. So I don't know if you know about diabetes, but once your blood sugar reaches a certain level, you go into what they call a diabetic coma. And once you hit your sugar level hits 500, you go into a coma, and most of the time you don't wake up. Your body just shuts down.
Wow.
So I had a nurse who was a family member of the family come visit, and all the beds were taken. So there's no beds at the hospitals. All the beds were full. And
This was like peak COVID.
peak COVID.
Yeah.
This was actually 2 weeks before Christmas. So it was right around December the 15th.
Okay.
So, but what happened was, I felt like crap, right? My body shutting down, and she's like, Mario, there's no beds. We can't admit you anywhere. So instead of going down, she was doing everything she could to get my levels down, right? But they kept going up. And at one point it got up to 498, right? And at 500, your body just calls it quits, right? So she finally said, she's like, Mario, nothing I'm doing is working. She's like, I don't think you're going to make it through the night. Right.
Just legit.
Yeah,
told you
legit.
that.
And she's like, the way everything's going, there's no way. It doesn't look like you're going to turn this
How do you
around.
even respond to that?
Well, she's, what she said was, is there anybody you need to say bye to? I mean, that's how bad it was. She goes, you're not going to make it through the night. So I had to record goodbye videos to my two kids, right? I had to say everything I wanted to tell them. And keep in mind, this is 2 weeks before Christmas. So we'd already known that I wasn't going to be able to see them because I was contagious and COVID and all that stuff. So Christmas was already ruined. But now here I am, 2 weeks before, saying all the stuff that you would want to say to your kids, in case you don't make it. So that was my night. And then around 3:00 in the morning, she wakes me up. She's like, hey, come on, we're getting in the car. So we go down to Norman, and I basically have like what's a transfusion. Like it's this wasn't approved yet, but it was like I forgot what they call it, like a trial.
Okay.
So they put me through this, and they're taking blood out of me, putting new blood into me. They have me on an IV drip. So about 4 hours on this machine, right? And then all of a sudden I just feel a million times better, right?
Really?
So all that being said, so I made it through, started feeling better, got over COVID, all that stuff. But I thought, okay, there's two things I've always wanted to do in my life that I've never been able to do, right?
Yeah.
One of them was I wanted to be a good cook, right? And the second one was I wanted to get better at dancing. I had a background in hip hop dancing, like background stuff, right? Yeah. But I wanted to learn how to do salsa and bachata. That was just a passion I wanted to learn, but never did.
Okay.
So I said, okay, I had this near-death experience. Now I'm going to go out and start doing both of these things that I should have done a long time ago. So I started learning how to cook, started putting videos up on TikTok for cooking. One of them went viral, so now I actually, I'm a content creator. So I'm a part of the creative fund, right? So I get paid to do these cooking videos now on YouTube, or on TikTok. Mm-hmm. And then I just walked into my first, salsa class, took a class, fell in love with it. Been doing it now about 1.5 years or so. So not very long. But enough that, not only do I like dancing, we're putting on these events, and, it's become a big part of who most people that know me now, that meet me, only know me because they've seen my videos, either cooking or dancing videos that I put out there. But that's all recent. Before the COVID thing, I didn't do either one of those things.
That's funny.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So that's a big reset. Did you go through with recording those videos for your family? Like you actually did all that? Like,
Oh yeah.
Man,
yeah.
I don't even know where I would start with something like that.
I mean, it was just, I started thinking about, birthdays, marriage, kids,
Yeah, like future stuff, like
yeah.
advice
Cause I
for the
was thinking,
future, right?
not just right now. I was like, hey, this is my advice on this and this and this. And I had to do 2 of them, one for my son and one for my daughter.
That's crazy.
And, I haven't they've never seen the videos, but I also haven't deleted them as just like a reminder of like, as a wake up call. So to me, I kind of keep those, for me personally, just to remind me of like, hey, don't wait until it gets to that point. Do what you want to do now while you still can.
Man, do you think that you just waited all this time just because you were so busy, being an entrepreneur, everything like that?
Yeah. The other thing, I said 2 things. So like, I had been just, I call it hustling and grinding, right? Just trying to make whatever dollar I could make, right?
I'm guilty of that too. Always staying busy doing something.
Yeah. Waking up early, staying up late, no time in between. I made it a point when my kids were growing up to spend time with them, but I also felt like I was, way overworking myself, right? Health wise, all this stuff. So then I thought I want to have like a work-life balance, like I want to work hard, but also want to play hard now. I want to kind of have that balance. So that was probably the third thing that I took away from that experience was it's okay to work. It's okay to make money, But at the end of the day, that's not what's going to define you. You know,
Right.
and people aren't going to remember, you know, what you did for a living. They're going to remember, you know, what kind of impressions you made or who you helped along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Why the cooking? You're just always into cooking, or how'd you get into that?
I mean, I like to eat, first of all, right? So
Yeah.
I like to eat, but I always liked the idea of it. I just never made the time for it, right? So I would make the simple things that most guys would know how to make, right?
Right.
But I want to say, wouldn't it be cool to be able to make like a real meal, or, you know, when I was dating, like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to like be able to make like something from scratch, you know? So I make some good Mexican food, some really good Italian food, some good Chinese food. So now I've got some good recipes that are like in my arsenal. So most people that have eaten my food, you know, really, really like it. So, you know,
That's
if I get
awesome.
asked to come somewhere, I'm usually asked to bring something.
That's
So-
very cool. So now part of the dancing, are you like an instructor, or you just like to perform? Or
I'm not at the instructor level yet, so I'm
Okay.
still taking classes. I've advanced beyond like beginner level. So we have like beginner 1, 2, and 3. I'd be considered like a level 3 here locally. But I just like learning, you know what I mean? So I like meeting other people in the community, the dance community, bringing people in that are very well known, you know, for them to come to Oklahoma for the first time.
Yeah.
I like being able to do that. One, I like getting to meet the people, going back to the networking on a personal level. So now I have all these people that are very well known world champions that I can call friends of mine. But then also the local community doesn't have to fly to New York or LA. They can just come to a studio here, take classes from someone, you know, get to know them, that kind of thing.
Awesome.
So-
And the classes are there in the event center. You
Yeah, most of our classes are there at Chisholm Creek Event Center. Usually we do them throughout the week, but our bachata class is every Sunday. So, you know, the class is growing and growing. So it's fun to see new people come out. It's good for all levels. You know, it's fun. It's a good time.
How do you prevent it from, you know, becoming this huge thing, right? Because I can already tell you're passionate about it, right? So you're going to start connecting. All of a sudden, maybe you're bringing Prince Royce or somebody, right?
That's kind of the plan, man. We,
Yeah.
you know, even the people we're bringing now, like we're bringing in Danny J. He normally plays big cities, right? He's coming to Oklahoma City. He's flying here from Spain.
Awesome.
At the end of June, we're bringing Pinto Picasso.
Okay.
He's another big time bachata artist. He's never been to Oklahoma. He's coming at the end of June. But that's where we want to go. We want to start here. But yeah, our goal is to bring a you know, Prince Royce, Romeo Santos, you know,
That'd be
rent out
amazing.
Paycom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So instead of these little club shows, we want to, rent out Paycom. Let's do it big.
Yeah, and even some of these more traditional guys too, like Elvis Crespo or somebody like that, they've never came to Oklahoma. Something like that would be super cool.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, we got big plans. So this is just the beginning for
Awesome.
everything.
We won't spoil it then.
Yeah.
That's cool. So tell me about this festival. It's going to be going down here pretty soon, right? So
Yeah,
tell
it's
me-
the end of March. We're doing over 3 days, March 29th, 30th, and 31st. It's Easter weekend. So we're going to be at 3 different locations. We're having a pre-party at Sailor in the Dock, which is downtown. We're going to have, you know, a big social there, salsa, bachata. And then Saturday is the big day. We have a bunch of workshops all day. And then that night at Chisholm Creek Event Center, we're doing the concert with Danny J. It's going to be packed. That'll be fun. And then all day Sunday, we have more workshops. So
Cool.
it's a full weekend of dancing.
Are there tickets involved? Like, how do people get tickets?
Yeah, the easiest way is follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram. It's just Baila OKC for both.
Okay.
And that'll link you over to our tickets, you know. But yeah, man, we're looking forward to it. It'll be big.
Man, it sounds amazing. I can't wait to see this thing grow because
Yeah.
I can already tell.
You need to come
get
out,
bigger,
man.
yeah.
So you need to come out for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what else is on the horizon for you? Or you think you're going to focus on the cooking and dancing for now, or what else are you going to do?
Yeah, like I said, there's always opportunities, right?
Yeah.
So it's just there's a couple of opportunities that have come up that I will probably you know, work on, you know, because again, it's not just good for me personally, but I think it's a project that's good for the community. A couple of them are film and video projects that I've been asked to help out on, so I may do something like that. You know, just really helping out. I volunteered with the Calderon Dance Festival. So I trained with Shannon Calderon and her family from Color Me Bad, you know, so those days. So there's a lot of things that are happening, you know, behind the scenes. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. It just depends on what I want to focus on first.
Yeah. So if I put you on the spot, if I had to say, Mario, you can only do one thing, what's it going to be?
Man,
I always struggle with that too. So
one thing. Well, I publish a magazine in Edmond, and
Oh, you do?
that's kind of been my baby for the last 4 or 5 years. I really like that.
Yeah.
So probably either growing that or opening a second magazine, to publish. So that's kind of been the option. That's kind of my baby. It's allowed me to meet a lot of business owners, a lot of residents. It's for Oak Tree out in Edmond, if you're familiar with the golf course, the country club. So I own the magazine for that neighborhood and area. So it's been really good. So, but I think I may focus on growing that a little bit and then maybe opening another one as well.
Got it. So what's the model? Magazines, everything's online right now, right?
Yeah.
So what's the model for magazines, distribution, all that?
So ours is a little different. So our magazine is really designed just for the neighborhood. It's not something you'll pick up at Homeland or grocery store. So what makes it unique is on the magazine, on the cover each month, we have a family that lives in the neighborhood that we feature. We do a photo shoot with them. Then we do like a Meet Your Neighbor article. But all the articles on the inside, we do recipes, athlete of the month, pet of the month, golf tip, all this stuff. But all the articles and stories are written by someone that lives in the neighborhood. Awesome. So it's really their magazine. I just kind of help put everything together. And then I find local businesses that want to interact and do business with those people and kind of, again, connect, put those two together.
Yeah, so that's cool. We haven't even touched on the marketing side of things, right? So tell me about that, because you said you yourself, you're a content creator, but it sounds like you have probably a team that you work with as well.
I do.
Right?
Yeah, I do. I have a great team, social media team, video people. So it's all about good content, but I have clients all over the country. So, they call me to help them with their social media, with their digital marketing. That's a passion of mine. I like doing it. I like working with small businesses that are trying to grow, organically.
Yeah. So
one example, a couple years ago, I got asked to speak at a martial arts conference. There's Century Martial Arts is based here in Oklahoma City. Okay. So they're a really big brand in the martial arts industry. So they invited me a couple years ago to speak at their national conference in Vegas. So I went out there, spoke at the conference, and then my pitch wasn't salesy. It was just like, hey, these are some trends. These are how the algorithms work. And next thing you know, I've got all these schools from around the country using me as their digital guy, right? Really? So I became all of a sudden the digital marketing expert in the martial arts industry. I don't know anything about martial arts, right? Amazing. But I know how to grow schools and get students. So that's just one example of, I work with car dealerships and churches and, you name it, I'll work with them. So.
Man. That's very cool. So I always ask my guests, if I pull up your playlist, who am I going to find on your playlist? So,
oh, man.
So for sure, it sounds like bachata. Right?
Oh, yeah. Right now, bachata is it. I've been listening to a lot of Danny J and Pinto Picasso, for they're coming to Oklahoma. So, but yeah, man, Prince Royce is probably my guy. He's my favorite bachata artist. So that's my goal, is to bring him to Oklahoma City, to Paycom. He went to Dallas a couple years ago. So we just need to get him to come up a little, 2 hours, 3 hours north.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Where do you see sort of the Latin scene going right now? It's all about corridos, tumbados, and all that, right? But do you think there's going to be the bigger wave that comes back? With
It's growing. So I was surprised. I didn't even know about the community until I was in it, right? I took one class randomly and then started realizing how big it was. But you'd be surprised how many people live here in Oklahoma City that are from Venezuela, Colombia, Puerto Rico, Cuba, all these different places. And, they don't listen to Tejano, you know what I mean? So they're looking for that traditional music that they want to dance to, that they grew up on. But that crowd is a lot bigger than I thought it was. So, and it's just growing. The more socials we have, more people find out about it. Our socials that we have now are just growing and growing and growing. Every time you come out, there's 10 more new people that you didn't know before.
Man, so I don't know if I want to say you're thankful, but, going through that experience sort of gave you a reset. I don't know. Do you think it's kind of like a blessing in disguise?
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd probably still be just grinding like I was, just focused on making money, not really focused on the important stuff, So yeah, I'm grateful that it happened. It was scary, but I came through it. I'm healthy now, So I'm a little more cautious about my health, so I guess that's a good thing too. But yeah, I'm grateful. I wouldn't wish it on anybody else to have to go through that, but I'm a little glad I had to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the culture is always like hustle, right? 24/7 grind, right? But I don't know what your thoughts about that. I mean, I can see both sides, right? If you're trying to make something happen, especially if you're coming from no resources, like hustle's the only thing you've got. Right?
Yeah, I would say, but there's a balance. Again, you wanna work hard, but at the end of the day, take time for yourself. Make sure you're healthy. You know, if you're making all this money, but you're not healthy, what good is that money going to do you if you can't, you know, be around long enough to enjoy it, right? Your friends, your family, all that stuff's more important. You know, money comes and goes, but that stuff stays.
People, something that they don't know about you. That it could be a secret. It could be something that weird combination you like to eat. I always like to ask the guests.
No, I think I told you a little bit before we started taping. So not a lot of people know, you know, I don't just flaunt it, but I am very proud of it. So I'm one of the founding fathers of Omega Delta Phi. It was the first Latino-based fraternity here in Oklahoma. It was me and just a couple of guys, you know, looking at our options at the time at OU. I had a lot of people wanting me to pledge, you know, Sigma Chi, the traditional fraternities. And we were like, man, it's just not resonating. It's not what we wanted, you know? So we were like, let's just do some research. Let's see if there's one out there that we can form. So we found one. It was Omega Delta Phi. It was already in existence, but there wasn't one at OU in Oklahoma. So we met with the guys. We went down to their conference, you know, and they were like, you guys are the University of Oklahoma, like the Sooners. And we were like, yeah. So we came back and we started our own chapter. But yeah, me and a couple other guys were the founding fathers of Omega Delta Phi. And it started out with literally like 7 of us, right? And now every year it's grown and grown. Now they have a chapter at OSU, you know, there's one in UCO. So there's chapters all over. Now there's even a Katie Chi, which is the sorority version of the, you know. So, but every year they're winning award after award after award for their community service that they give back to. So it's just really, really, that's one of my proudest achievements of, I say all we did was plant the seed, right? But it took everybody else coming after us to water it and grow it. But at least seeing now, you know, looking back 20 plus years later, wow, man, this thing has grown. It's huge. The pledge classes are big. And it's just kind of cool. Come to the tailgates at OU and everybody kind of knowing who you are is kind of cool. You know?
That's cool. You're leaving like a legacy, right?
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
Probably the landscape now looks a lot different. So maybe tell me a little bit about that. When you were at OU, probably not a lot of Hispanics, probably like...
Not as much, man, not as many. And again, it wasn't just Mexicans. You know, the other founding fathers, you know, were Puerto Rican, you know, Cuban. So it was a good mix, right?
Okay.
But yeah, now it's a, you know, it's a Latino-based fraternity, but we've had several African-American, you know, people pledge. We've had Asian guys pledge. So, you know, it's not exclusive, but it's a Latino-based fraternity, but it's based on community service, not anything else.
Yeah.
So it's been a really, really good, you know, experience to see that grow.
Why did you gravitate towards a fraternity? Was it the networking aspect? A lot of people talk about that. Or was it the community side? What was it?
We were already hanging out all the time, right? There was a big group of us hanging out, and we wanted to do something more just official, you know, and as we kept getting asked to join other fraternities, we were just like, you know, we're in HASA, we're in Pan Am, these student groups, but there wasn't like an official fraternity. So we just thought, you know, it's one of those things, if it doesn't exist, create it, you know, and that's kind of our mindset. So we just decided to make it more formal and official, created it, and then let everybody else kind of take it from there.
Yeah, I think looking back, the OD5 parties were always super awesome for dancing and stuff like that. You're telling me you went to all those dances, all those parties, and you never danced? Is that what you're telling me, or what?
So not that kind. It was like hip hop, right? So it was like, but when I went, Pan Am was the thing. So the Pan Am parties. So you had, again, people from Venezuela, Colombia, Puerto Rico, you know, and I would watch them jam out, right? And I was just cool on the side, right? But I always wanted to, I was just nervous to. But now, like I said, there's a ton of videos online. You can see me dancing. So now I don't care.
That's awesome. Was it difficult to get the rhythm? Like if you've never tried it, I guess, but you had instructors, right?
Yeah, no, the instructors are good. Bachata is a lot easier to learn. I'm much better at bachata than I am salsa. Salsa is a lot faster. The turns are a lot harder. So it's a little harder to learn salsa to be good at it. I'm adequate at salsa, but I'm pretty good at bachata. So it's just an easier dance to learn.
You still go back to LA at all? You have family in LA?
Yeah, have lots of family. My son lives there now. So he just got married not too long ago. So went down there for his wedding. And then now every time me and my fiance travel, no matter where we go, we've been to LA, Mexico, Colombia, a bunch of different places. Every time I travel now, we look for like the dancing, where's the salsa and bachata happening, you know, so we always go and we go dancing wherever we are now. It's kind of a tradition.
That's cool. So tell me, who has the best vibes? What's been sort of the place that you enjoyed the most? Because you're here in New York, Miami, right? Like,
we were in Mexico in Playa del Carmen, and they had a cool setup because the weather is so nice over there. Everything is outdoors, right?
Okay.
So they taught the class in this outdoor. It was a covered area, but it was still outdoors, like a big pergola. So they taught the class. There was a ton of people in the class, and then they had a social, and the social was awesome. So and it was like an outdoor environment.
Yeah.
That was really cool, and then we went to Hawaii, and that was a cool scene too, because it's kind of like this fusion of like a Hawaiian mix, Asian, Hawaiian, Latino, all kind of fusion together. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever think that you're going to try to create this into like a monetized thing, like the dancing and all, like you want?
Yeah. I mean, eventually what we'd like to do is, the name of the studio is Baila OKC, which just translate to dance OKC. So we don't want it to be just salsa bachata, right?
Okay.
We want to eventually have a big studio that teaches everything from ballet, tap dancing, hip hop, all forms of country dancing. It doesn't matter. So we want to be known as, like, when people think of dancing in Oklahoma City, it's just instantly like, hey, Baila OKC, that's the place. They have everything. So
okay. That's awesome.
That's what I like to get it to.
That's cool. What about concerts? I always, geek out with people with concerts. Maybe tell me a little bit about your favorite concerts that you've been to.
Recently, the most recent one, we went to Romeo Santos, and then also went to Maluma. He was in Dallas. So we, for both of those, we were able to get standing pit seats. So right next to the stage. So Maluma gave us a shout out. You know what I mean? We were right there on stage. So that was a good show. Those are the two most recent. They were really good shows. But again, my goal is to bring Prince Royce to Oklahoma City.
We're going to put it out there in existence.
Yeah, putting it out there.
Right?
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't know what's up with Maluma lately. Like, he hasn't put out a lot of new music. Maybe he's just too busy, but
I don't know, man. He might be touring. So hopefully he'll get back in the studio, but yeah, he's been touring like crazy. So it was good to see him in Dallas.
I always hear that those guys, their writers and everything that they require to be in concert are crazy with the amount of stuff that they require.
Yeah, the people we're bringing, they're not as big, so it's a small writer. But yeah, I've been around it enough doing music videos and filming concerts for EPKs. I've seen the green rooms and some of the stuff they ask for.
Yeah.
Hey, if you can get it, ask for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Might as well.
They even request like, X amount, like sometimes they say like rent out the whole floor for my staff and everything, right? And then like vehicle requirements, how they want to be transported.
Yeah, everything.
It gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, down to like not just water, but like what type of water, it has to be this sparkling water, this brand, this many, all that stuff. Yeah.
So we've been talking win after win after win, but maybe tell me, was there ever a point in your life with your entrepreneurship that maybe things didn't go well and you're like, hey, maybe I need to go back to corporate or something?
Not so much that, but there's definitely been times where as an entrepreneur, it's a roller coaster. Sometimes things are really good, and then sometimes, you don't get a salary, right? So I always say you wake up every day unemployed, because you don't know for sure what's coming in.
That's a good way to look at it. It's like, I got to make money today, right?
Yeah. And I mentioned earlier, some people were like, Mario, I don't know how you can do what you do, not having a salary, not knowing how much you're going to make. And I always respond, I don't know how you can do what you do, knowing no matter how hard you work, this is all you're going to make, you know? So, but no, there's definitely been some downs, there's been, having bad business partners, people cutting you out of deals, after you help it get built up, and then all of a sudden, hey, thanks for helping me get it built up. Now we're going to do this on our own.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But at the end of the day, those are lessons, that help me in future deals. But if I let the downs keep me down, then you're never going to, move forward. So I like to look at them as life lessons, what did I learn from that? What would I do different? At the end of the day, you have to be trusting. You have to trust your business partners, trust who you're working with. And if I can't trust who I'm working with, I'm not going to be in business with them anyway. So if I let past bad experiences happen, that's just going to hold me back from moving forward.
Got it. Did your kids want to follow in your footsteps? Did they want to be entrepreneurs or what?
Yeah, my son, not my daughter. My daughter wants that salary.
Okay.
That's her. She took after her mom.
But
with
even
that
though they've
side.
seen you be an entrepreneur their whole life, right?
Yeah. But my son, he's definitely, he even though he works for Coinbase, they allow him to do stuff on his own, kind of on the side to develop projects. But then he's also into music. So, he makes his own music. He's got stuff on Spotify. He works with other people. He just did a project not too long ago with Post Malone.
Really?
So yeah.
Okay.
So he's networking like I
Man,
taught him,
that's
so
awesome.
he's getting his music thing done through that. But yeah, for sure.
So is he on the producer side of things, or is he like a
Both.
artist?
So he's learned everything. He's learning how to produce the beats and everything, but he plays instruments, and then he's rapping and singing on his own tracks. So he's the opposite of me, where I can't do anything. He can do everything. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did that sort of like always develop when he was a kid too? You kind of saw it coming, or
Yeah. So what he would do when he was in school, he would steal my video equipment that I would have, right? And him and his buddies would go make their little films.
That's cool.
And then it got to where once I saw he was actually taking it serious, like he wasn't just goofing around, he was thinking about composition, framing, editing. So once I saw him taking it more serious, then I kind of stepped in and even I would record some stuff for them and help him put it together. But yeah, we started with my equipment. He would steal with his buddies. They would film stuff and then put it up on the internet. And yeah, he just started tinkering around, and then he would do the music stuff. He had a keyboard.
Okay.
But yeah, now he's badass.
That's very cool. Congrats on that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I may have to have him on the pod. It sounds like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. I always struggle with the creative, right? Because creative, I don't know, you tell me, but I think it's not as valued. Like people always try to undercut, right? Like when it comes to like digital marketing, when it comes to content creative, they're always like, hey, like, that's too expensive. How do you sort of provide value, or how do you prevent people from undercutting you, right?
Yeah, so that's a little tough, because you're always going to have people that just want the work, like even as a DJ, right? Well, hey, I'll DJ this party, but I'm only going to charge you $50 or $100, right? And you're like, well, I charge 500, Well, you got to justify, here's why I charge 500. Like if I announce I'm going to be at this place, if I'm involved with this project, it automatically brings a bunch of more eyeballs and to whatever I'm doing. So I sell the value that I bring to the table. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that will do it cheaper. There's another, I like quotes. There's another saying, if you think I'm expensive, wait till you hire an amateur, and then you have to come back and fix whatever they, didn't do right. I've gotten many jobs in the past where I've had to come in after someone that was cheaper than me, and then now they want it done the right way.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's crazy because human behavior is crazy. Like DJing private events, you see people don't bat an eye for like the price of a cake. They don't bat an eye for like covering the chairs or something, right? But when it comes to the entertainment, they're like, hey, that's too expensive. We're going to cut the budget here.
Yeah.
What do you think people are going to remember, whether the chairs had a covering or the cake, or whether they had a good time or not, right?
Yeah. And I'm just a believer in just supporting people. So like, if I saw this thing the other day, if a friend of mine cuts hair, that's where I'm getting my hair cut. If a friend of mine does this, that's where I'm getting my car fixed. You know what I mean? So you want to support your friends, right? And most of the time it's a weird deal where people are like, I'll go to this random business I don't know and I'll pay full price. I won't even ask for anything. But then when it's a buddy, I want the hookup. I want a discount. I want to pay half price. It should be the other way around, right? We should be supporting our friends and family full price, asking for the hookup for the stranger that we don't know. But
I mean, even like fashion brands, right? Like people wait in line, go buy Yeezys, spend crazy money. But if your friend starts a clothing brand, they're like, hey, $20, I'm not paying $20 for this shirt.
Or hook me up with a shirt, let me have one for free. I'll wear it, but like, it's just messed up that way.
How do we change that mindset? What do you think?
Little by little, man. I'm a big believer, and I've had a lot of people want to work with me, and they've offered to work for free. Hey, Mario, we want to do this with you. We just want to work with you. We'll do it for free.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in respecting people's time and their value. So even when I've had people offer to work for free, I pay them for their time, because to me, I want them to remember, yes, I value you, but I also value your time and what you're worth. So even if I'm having to instill in themselves, what their own value is, maybe it's just that little by little, don't let people work for free if they're worth more than that.
Yeah, I think if we all did that and supported each small business, I mean, how amazing would that be, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's like baked in clients right there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the TikTok creator program. I'm not really familiar with it. There's a lot of buzz about TikTok being banned.
Right.
Too. Maybe talk about your
and that could happen. That could happen. I don't think it will. But basically, if you put out good content, and what I did a lot of homework. Of course, I already had like a film and video background.
Yeah.
So I knew how to edit, knew how to do all this stuff. But I started watching just a ton of videos of like, what would I want to see? Like if I was watching a video, what would I want to see? What kind of recipes? What kind of, how would I want it shown and edited, and what kind of voiceover, all that kind of stuff. So I watched all these videos, and then I just started uploading, and the first ones were bad. They were just getting my feet wet, right?
Yeah.
But then the more I did, the better I got. And then all of a sudden, more and more people started watching, commenting, sharing, liking. And then I would like post a video, and then my phone would just start
blow up.
buzzing. Bzz, 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 bzz. So I had to turn off the notifications. I'd look and be like, okay, in the last hour, your video got 15,000 views, you know, and then look it up again. Okay, now it's got 30,000, you know, and it just keeps growing and growing. So then eventually TikTok sent me a DM, and they were like, hey, we've noticed your videos are trending. We want to help support you. So we want to push it out there to a bunch of people. So from now on, whenever you post a video, we've changed your profile to like a professional profile. You're a creator.
Okay.
So now there's a creator fund. So whenever people put money into this fund, that fund gets divided based on how many views, you know, and the percentage of views and all that stuff. So it's not a ton of money, but you know, hey, I'm getting paid for doing what I like doing.
Yeah.
So,
What I always find myself getting stuck watching are the videos where they're cooking, but then you get to hear like the knife sounds, like all the ASMR stuff. Do you do that kind of cuts or?
Somewhat. So mine are a little bit more, it's me talking an intro, you know what I mean? I do a quick intro, and I want to show the food really, because I want to know like quickly, okay, if I watch the video without sound, would I be able to follow along and get the recipe? And that's how I create the videos, where if you're watching them somewhere you're not supposed to be watching videos, and you have it on mute, you can still get the gist of the video. So that's kind of what I try to appeal to.
I think that's why people with the captions are kind of like blowing up with the captions, because a lot of people are probably watching stuff where they're not supposed to, right? So having those captions is probably crucial.
For sure. And then it all kind of, it's from a branding perspective, you know, I put a lot of my dancing videos up there too. So people might start out watching a cooking video, then they watch a dancing video, then they go to the website or Facebook or Instagram. So it all kind of ties in together from a branding perspective.
Let's talk about that, because I always struggle with that, because I do a lot of things too. And I always wonder, should I create a separate like profile for this thing? Like, let's say the DJ stuff, another one for the podcast, or you think it should just be all encompassing? Even like on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I don't always know how to present myself.
I think it's just you. And nowadays it's more okay. Like we were talking earlier, it's kind of hard when people just come up to me for the first time and say, hey Mario, what do you do?
Right. It's like, where do I start?
It really depends on who I'm talking to, how I answer that question. You know, now it's just easier to say, I'm just a business guy. I have a couple of businesses, and leave it at that. And then if they want more information, I'll go into detail. But I think nowadays it's more acceptable to be multifaceted, especially with what you do. These kind of blend, you know, being a DJ, having a podcast, you know, those are kind of similar type of, right? They vibe together. So I think it's okay where you're not, with me, cooking and dancing are nowhere near, you know, the same thing, but I still put them together. But my advice would be, just make it all you. It's your brand. You are the brand. It's you. Yeah. So let's say it's DJing right now. Let's say it's podcasting, but let's say you want to add some stuff to it. You'll be able to add to it because you're the brand. You know what I mean? So when people are hiring you, they're bringing your brand with them. They're not separating anything.
Yeah.
So
I always see, and even like on LinkedIn, especially, there's people, because they do have maybe a day job, but then they have this other thing that they're trying to build. They create two separate profiles so they can post and interact as like a separate person.
Yeah.
You know? And I can see that. But
I've seen that, man, but
it's a struggle.
I've seen that, but it's just, you are who you are. So I just say, be yourself. You know what I mean? If that's who you are and you want to do different things, do different things. You know what I mean? Promote it all.
Yeah. You don't think you'll alienate people if they're they're not into the cooking? But
no, my thing is I want people to know who I am, right? Yeah. So that's who I am. If anybody watches my stuff, they know, okay, Mario likes to cook and he also likes to dance. To me, there's nothing wrong with, hey, I'm just telling people who I am, right? True. So if you're like, hey, this is me, man. You know, I like to DJ. I have a podcast and I might like something else too. This is who I am. And
just be authentic.
Yeah. Right? You either like me or you don't. But I think the more organic you are and people just see, hey, this is who he is. He's not trying to be something he's not. He's organic with it. I think you're actually going to gain more followers when they know more about you versus you feel like you had to hide something, you know, or not really show everything about who you were.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like sort of the production value, right? Because back in the day, production was like everything, right?
Yeah.
You had the best cameras, everything, right? But now it almost seems like people prefer just somebody picking up their phone, right?
Yeah, sometimes. But like your setup here, man, this is really, really nice, right? So like, you know, I don't think had to spend $200,000 on equipment, right? But this is a really nice setup. So it's equal to playing field technology has. So again, like I was saying before, It's no longer about who has the nicest camera, the microphone, all this stuff. It's okay, that part's equaled out now. You know, the quality's there. So now it's just like, how good is the host? How good is the podcast on its own without all the technical side of it?
Right. Just about the content.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I say let's plug in once again the festival we got coming up.
Yeah. So Easter weekend, March 29th, 30th, and 31st. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Baila OKC. You can get a link for tickets. You can find out more about who's teaching, the concert, all that stuff. And if you're a student and you have a student ID and you're under 18, it's absolutely free to come out, enjoy all the workshops, enjoy the socials, come out dancing, free of charge.
What if people are interested in watching the cooking and the dancing part? Where can people follow you?
So don't make fun of me. So my daughter gave me my Instagram handle and it just kind of stuck.
Okay.
So it's Livin Avila Loca.
Nice.
So Livin underscore LIVIN underscore Avila underscore Loca.
I like
so
the play of words. I think
Yeah,
it's catchy.
Livin Avila Loca.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
you
super
bet, man.
busy. It's been awesome.
Thanks, brother.
It's been cool to learn about everything.
Yeah.
Continued success is all
Thanks,
I can
man.
say.
Appreciate you.
You got this.
Thanks.
All right. There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the super talented Mario Avila on the Maverick Podcast. In dreams, we trust.